Hey everybody, welcome to this week's live stream. Hope everybody's doing good today. So we are going to turn up one of the demo blanks that I poured while I was at Turner's Warehouse. So I did like a beginner, like 101 level, like intro to resin casting demo, and I did a little quick pour showing how I do my abalone blanks, but I changed it up just slightly. I swapped out the interference violet for red. I usually just do red, blue, and green. And I thought, I don't know if I've done this before, so let's just kind of switch it up for this demo. And I took one of the blanks, back with me, and that's what we're going to turn up today. I'm just going to put it on a cigar, just like I think it's like a black titanium. I don't know what it is, but it's kind of like a gunmetal-ish looking cigar kit. And so it'll be kind of fun. We'll just turn it up. I'm actually, I gotta be honest, I don't know that I've actually turned one outside of the normal abalone. And I did everything the same way that I normally do it. So if you want to see how to make these things, it's very simple. But I should have gone and got the link to that. The live stream is still up on Turner's TV channel. Well, let me go and see if I can find that. And if you missed it, there was 3 demos that day that they were all live streamed, and there were some good ones. So I'm going to link to a couple things here. See if I can find them. Where are they? Just live. There we go. So the other 2 were Chad did a stabilizing 101. It was pretty simple. I didn't actually catch that, so I'm sure it was fine. They also have another stabilizing like live stream kind of thing from last year with Curtis Seebeck. So here's the difference. Chad is going to tell you exactly what you need to know, no more. And he's not going to go into super technical details about it. So it's a little bit more, I would say, for like a 101 class, if you've never done stabilizing, watch Chad's first. If you understand stabilizing, if you know pretty much how things are done, and you want to dig deeper, I would go and check out the one with Curtis, because he like talks about like chemistry and like all kinds of stuff. Like he knows everything about it. But for just like, what do you need to understand? Chad's is probably a little bit more cut and dry kind of thing. So let me grab a link. So here's the link to the stabilizing one. Again, that was with Chad. And then I did catch Jim over at Cocoon Blanks. He did one on making, and he kind of talked a little bit about turning. He didn't actually turn it, but making a herringbone segmented blank. And let me tell you, this was a great demo. I sat through it, and I'm probably never going to make one because I can't stand that kind of making stuff like that. It's not that bad. Actually, he made it look pretty easy, but not my thing. If I wanted to turn a herringbone blank, I would buy one from Jim probably, but he there's lots of different types of segmenting that you can do, and he was making it out of resin. So if that is something that you might be interested in, they make some awesome blanks. I think that he really covered everything that you need to know. You could easily make one of these things if you just follow his steps. And he's one of the best he's probably one of the best segmenters out there, whether it be wood or resin. So if that's the kind of tedious work that you don't want to do like me, then I would just go and check out Cocoon Blanks. They sell those, and they're awesome. They make all kinds of really good blanks too. So so Easter snuck up on me this year. I totally kind of forgot about that. So happy Easter to everybody, or a little bit early. Pretty cool though. We didn't do anything Easter focused. I think I was just kind of like focusing on this trip, and everything it just got away from me. So let's see. It looks like Mike McEwen was here, and Paul was down in Phoenix for the open house. So it was good to see you. And Ann's here, Kim. So did anybody? I didn't see who was in the chat exactly. I'm pretty sure Kim was there. But was anybody else in the chat while we were doing the demos? They don't really tell me a whole lot. I'm on a need-to-know basis down there. Let's see, we got Mark and Kid Cooper's in the house. And let's see here. Bruce is here. Cool. Tony and Kevin, David. Oh yeah, okay. Oh yeah. Sometimes it's hard. You see like avatars and stuff in the chat, and I don't put people's faces together with like the avatar thing online. It's really tough, like especially when you switch from like the YouTube one. There's like a little symbol, and it's just visually I see like a name and like I think of a symbol, and then I'll go on Instagram and I don't realize it's even the same person there. So yeah, it was great to meet you. I had a good time. So that was a really good trip. This time I actually stayed with Chad and Amy for not a full week. The problem was that it was 2 days of driving each way, so that kind of wrecked some of the time. But I wanted to bring my mountain bike down, and we got to do some really awesome mountain bike trails out. I mean, like if you can picture in your mind, if someone's like, I'm gonna go mountain biking in Arizona, this was like penultimate cactus, like everywhere, desert, all that kind of stuff. So they took me to some really cool places. Unfortunately, the Monday before I left, I messed my knee up again. So I'm very excited about that. It's probably almost worse in this case now. It doesn't hurt all the time. Like the first time I messed up the thing, that was in November. Like, I mean, I couldn't even like barely walk for like a week or two. This time it wasn't that bad, but now it doesn't hurt all the time, but my knee is so unstable that I can't even just walk normally. So I'm very excited about that, and I just want to rip my knee out at this point. But so we'll see. I got a doctor's appointment next Friday again. So Kevin was there. Nice. Oh, you saw the herringbone? Yeah, it was really awesome. Yeah, I know, it makes me kind of want to, like, when I see things like that, I'm like, oh, that'd be kind of fun. Then I actually do things like that, and I don't really like things like that. So I'm not patient enough for that kind of stuff. Oh, your brother, yeah. That's cool. Well, like I said, if you want to see the demos, they're on replay on the Turner's TV channel, so you can check them out. And they were, like I said, all of them are good. Chad always does good. I didn't see his demo. I was kind of talking to Jim and Leon from Cocoon, and I thought they were leaving, and I was just going to kind of say bye, and then we ended up like talking the whole time that Chad was doing his demo. Not that I need to sit through a stabilizing demo, but it's funny because a lot of times, even though you do it and you've been doing it for a long time, like you sit through somebody else's demonstration or, just listen to how they do things, and you might pick up one or two things, No, it had nothing to do with skiing. What I need to do is stop running. That's actually how it happened again, in the exact same way. So that was fun. 75-year. There's a heart thing in the middle of my wrong. Oh yeah, yeah. I'm pretty sure mine's another meniscus, whatever. I got to be honest. Actually, snowboarding didn't do anything to it. I went snowboarding and it was absolutely fine. I can't run to save my life, I guess. So someone was like, "Yeah, don't run." I think even my PT, she's like, "I would recommend not running." Like, unless your life depends on it at this point. And I'm like, yeah. Which really sucks because I used to hate running when I was young. The only reason you would get me to run is if there was a ball involved and we were going to, hopefully win a game. I really didn't like running. But when we moved back up here from Vegas, we didn't have a lot of money, and I wasn't, paying for like a gym, and we had a tiny little place we were living in. And I'm like, if you want to get in shape, the easiest thing to do is put shoes on and go run. And so I actually got into it, and now I guess I can't. I don't know. Biking was fine, so that's good. Yeah, well, yeah, we'll have to see what happens, because if I need surgery, I'm probably not going to AAW. We'll see. At this point, like, a surgery was not on the table at the first time. I'm like, I can get through this and I can PT it. At this point, I'm like, replace the whole knee if you have to. I don't really care. I'm just not going to live like this. Really annoying. So anyway, let's move on. So today, like I said, we're doing that. Now, one quick thing before we're doing the abalone blank for turning today, but we got some other stuff to show. So from the week before, here are the results from the mermaid blanks, if you didn't see them on Instagram. So this was the one that we didn't stir up, and you can tell, and we also used the kind of more hot pink. That was the, what do they call it? Rose red from P-Town, which is a great color, but in this case, this is not what I was going for. That pink is not the right shade. It needs to be a little bit, you know, like a lighter or something like that. But I like the look of this, but this is not what I want for these specific blanks. So this will just give you an idea. You know, we didn't stir it up with the stick or anything like that. It just was what it was. Now, one other thing is I think that the temperature got a little warmer than I expected. So, you know, it's kind of a mixture of not stirring and a little bit higher temp. Now, we get really good separation, but that's what we got. So this is the second one, and this had the green in it. And this is much more along the lines of what I was going for. Let me get under the camera, hopefully. My only gripe about this is that green is really prevalent, and that is just not, I'm not saying this doesn't look good. This looks awesome, and it would be a great mermaid's tail blank, but I don't like how much green is in this. But it's cool. I really like that baby girl pink a lot more, and it kind of turns from like a kind of, God, this stupid camera. It kind of turns a little bit kind of purplish to pink. So you got a little color change in that. And then we have our other color shifts. Now, the other issue that I have with the green parts is it doesn't really change color as much. A little bit. So what I did was I went back and I slightly adjusted the amounts of everything. And this is what we came up with. And I think, and so at this point, what I think I'm going to do is I might add this to my inventory, like full time. I'm pretty, like basically I'm going to be adding this one to my inventory. But what I'm going to do is I'm going to kind of split the difference, because this one doesn't, for me, doesn't necessarily have enough of that green. So I'm going to add a little bit. We're going to basically split it right in the middle, and that's going to become like the norm for this mermaid blank. But I'll tell you what, I love this. This is, I say this a lot, but at this point, this is probably one of my favorite. I mean, this is like top 5 that I've ever made. And it's really dead on for what I wanted to do. So we have this one, this version. We've got, let's see, I think 2 of them already sold. I don't know how somebody knew that I added them to the website, but I think there should be 4 more. I'm going to have to actually adjust, because I think I miscalculated the number of these. So I need to go in and add 1 more, but there's 4 left. So if anybody wants to snag, again, this version, what I'm going to do though is after these are sold, again, I'm going to go back and just slightly adjust and add a little bit more of that green back in. Just so I'm kind of right in the middle. It just, there's a lot of green in this one. And I think that we can dial it back just a little bit from there, but also add a little bit. And I think that it's going to be like, just like literally the perfect mermaid blank. So let me go grab you guys a link to that if anybody wants to snag them. Like I said, there's only 4 now of this specific version, but I'm going to be, in the coming week or 2, I'll be adding, and I'll probably add both the kitless version and, standard size onto the website. So let's see. Let me go and get there we go. So here's a link to those. Like I said, I need to go in and add one. I got to be honest. I'm going to do this right now just in case people want these, because I don't want the amount that I actually have to be off, and then somebody doesn't get. Oh, good Lord. Review your security settings. Okay. Yes, we're secure. Okay, so let me do this real quick it'll take 2 seconds. I just want to make sure that we have the right number. Now, I don't have any of the kitless in at all right now. Oh, maybe I did do. Are you available? Huh. Oh, shoot. I swear 2 of them sold today. Let's see here. Huh. I guess that 5, yeah, 3. Counting is hard today. Okay, so add one more, and we're good. Okay, so now we have the correct amount. There's a total of 4 left. If anybody wants to snag them. And like I said, you don't have to necessarily go and grab these ones, but I'm not going to be adding anymore until I sell out of these, because I don't want to kind of intermix. I want to get the right colors and everything like that set, and then I'll add like the standard and kitless version of these. But the thing is, these are going to be kind of a limited because they're a little bit more on the like bluer, purpler side. Not as much green, so they're technically they're a little bit of a kind of a limited edition, I guess. So, I don't know, however you want to call that. So let's go over to the lathe. Let's do some turning. I got to turn my phone on. I forgot about the phone thing. Barb's here. What's up? Oh, you live about 90 miles. Where's that at? North of Vegas. 90 miles. Is that like Beatty or Tonopah? Goldfield? Maybe the other way. Yeah, I actually stayed in Beatty, and it was pretty nice. There's the Death Valley Inn. The only issue that I had with that place, like the staff was great. It looks like they just recently kind of remodeled it. And so like the whole stay was great. The only issue was the go-getters that had to be up at 6 a.m. And like, problem is that hotel, or let's put an M there. It's a motel more. You know, it's older, and so there's, you know, the walls are like paper thin, and so like everybody's banging around at 6 a.m. I'm like, that's great, thanks guys. I'm really happy that you. And most of them didn't even actually get on the road or anything right away. They were still banging around at like 10 o'clock, and I'm like, why did you have to get up at 6? Good Lord. Okay, so we got our, again, this is the cigar is what we're doing. And I did mark this. I don't really think in the end it's going to make any difference whether this is marked and I line it up properly or not. But I did mark the blank, and what I do is I just put a little line. I think you could probably just get away with putting a line on the side, but I also even wrap it around. So just to let you know, if I'll look at the alignment and see if that actually matters or not. I have a feeling I'm not going to really care too much. I'm going to go with, I just don't really want to switch out my cutter. So we're going to start with that. If I'm like, meh, I don't really like this. Typically, I do like the negative rate cutters better for typical pens. It just guarantees that you're not going to get a catch. Like they're absolute 100% guarantee. It would be very difficult to get a catch with one of those things, or like have a problem because of cutting. They work so well, but there's really nothing wrong with the standard cutters. There just is, like, if you kind of screw up, you could get a little bit of a catch kind of thing. I find for the kitless pens though, because there's not there, you know, it's not like glued down to a tube. There's a little bit more flex, and I definitely do find that for shaping something like that, or like a diamond painting pen, you get less chatter with the, you know, with the standard cutter. Either way works all right, but I just generally find, especially when you're like in the middle, they're a little bit longer also, and resins can flex a little bit more. So standard cutters typically work a little bit better in that situation, but they work fine on normal pens as well. So I gotta put one thing away. I gotta get my phone out too. Open up the YouTube app, see what's happening. All right. Ricardo's here. What's up? Beaver Dam. Okay, cool. Okay, here we go. Get a little bit more support in there. All right, so you might be noticing that I am cranking the cutter. And the main reason is it's not like it really cuts like a ton better or anything like that. The main reason I do that is because I find the tool easier to slide if it's on one edge, rather than trying to like keep it flat on the tool rest. Because this isn't really a lot, and like over time you kind of round this around and it can kind of rock, and I find that's where I get catches. So if I can just leave it on one edge, I find that it's a little bit easier for me personally. I'm not saying you really need to do that, but you know. If you find that you get kind of weird catches or anything like that, you might try just kind of angling it slightly. You want to angle it in the direction that you're going. You don't want it angled this way and then be going that way. That'll be a guaranteed catch. So I'm pretty excited about these. Now, one thing to mention about these blanks on the Abalone, I generally prefer putting a black tube behind it, just in case. There's actually, the way that I do these, there's a ton of interference powder in, and so I don't know that you'd really see through and see brass necessarily. However, again, the way that these interference powders work, they are best, and that the reason why the black really makes these colors pop is because that black next to it and behind it, in this case of the tube, kind of helps bring that color out even more. So I always recommend using black tubes for any kind of abalone, and especially like any interference type blank, where it makes sense. Let's see, David's got a question. If I had $2,000 to upgrade, You know what's a pretty decent line of lathes is the record power. Yeah, you might even look into those. 2,000. Are you just talking about 2,000 for the lathe itself, or does that do you have a little bit of extra budget for other kind of like chucks and things? Because I always mess these up. The Herald is like a kind of a smaller lathe, but you can really do a lot of stuff. It's even got a rotating head for getting a little bit larger bowl. The only downside for that one is it's a little bit on the lighter side. I mean, it's like a midi size lathe. You can weigh it down, and all that stuff, but the next level up, I think there's two names. I always want to call it the Herald. No, not Herald, the Envoy. But there's basically, one of them is 110 volt and one of them is 220, and they have two different names. I don't really understand that. But whatever that class, that is a really good lathe. Not gigantic, but it'll handle just about anything you throw at it, and it's got a little bit more heft. I got some time using that when I was at Turner's Warehouse, doing a little bit of a kind of that class, quote unquote, hanging with Chad, turning kitless pens. I turned half of the pen on that, and I was quite impressed with it. I turned the other half of that pen on the Laguna 1216, and that is a good lathe as well. But I think for $1,000 bucks, I think the Herald probably kind of beats that one a bit. It's just got a few more features. Especially if you're thinking about bowls like that, the rotating headstock is really nice to get a little bit. You can go full outboard if you wanted, but you can also just it makes it a lot easier to get in rather than trying to get in on the back. You know, if it's straight. Now with this one, I drop the head to the end, and that gives me really good, access. But I don't know, for a mini lathe, I think that the Herald is probably one of the best I've seen. The Jet's a good one too, and a lot of people love, like, I don't know anybody that doesn't like Rikon, so it's kind of a loaded question. Like, I think that the best thing to do is like try to get your hands on a few, if you can, and really see which one feels the best, because most of them, for $2,000, like, they're gonna be a good lathe, most likely. I'm actually really considering getting a Herald for my shop because I want to kind of play around with it. You know, like, I'm using this gigantic 2436 to turn pens, and although I love it, it's super solid and it's great even for turning pens. Like, a lot of people laugh and they're like, oh, I've got this huge lathe that's probably best for turning pens, but I'll tell you what, the heft of it is actually quite nice for turning pens because there's really no vibrations. But it's totally unnecessary. Like, you can get exactly perfect results using smaller lathes that cost a lot less. And I'd kind of like to show that on the channel a little bit. So someday I might get one of those, and I got an extra grand laying around, you know. I think we're looking pretty good here. So I have been kind of playing around with my sanding just a little bit, and I'm finding that, and we're going to give it one more shot. I haven't actually done this. I've been kind of playing around with it a little bit on other types of things rather than kit type pens. See if I can get you guys a shot of this thing. So here's what it looks like without even polishing it at all. It looks amazing, I think. I would say that the difference between this one and my normal Abalone, the normal ones that I do, the violet is just a little bit more in the purple shade. Whereas the interference red is a little bit, I would say, almost like a pinkish, reddish, pinkish kind of shade. So it's very slightly different. There's not a lot of difference between this and my normal Abalone. But I just wanted to give it a shot. I don't think that I'd ever really done that. And I thought, I know what the normal one looks like. I'll take advantage of having a demo where I'm just, have to make these blanks to see you know, what's kind of the difference? How do I feel about it? And you can get away with anything with these Abalone, pretty much. You could use any of the 5 colors. You could probably use color shifts and get some interesting effects. I actually haven't done that. That's something that would be fun to do sometime. And just add that black in there and just kind of see, you know, how does that actually look in the end. So anyway, what I was going to say is for the sanding, let's see, I got to replace my water because it's the same water since before the trip. It actually doesn't look that bad, but what I'm going to be doing, what I've been playing around with is just starting at 600 grit, going to 1,000, and then just going to magic juice. And I'm almost certain that it's going to work just fine. Now I do apologize, I can't walk as fast as I normally would because this knee. I suppose I could, but the really frustrating thing about my knee is I don't know what causes it to mess up. It's like super intermittent. Like I can take 100 steps, as far as I can tell, they're all the same. I'm not doing anything different. And then the 101st step is when it's like popping out or something, and it doesn't feel particularly great. So it's just not, you know, confidence inspiring. And I'm just walking slow now. So it'll take just a couple seconds longer. But anyway, yeah, that in the switch, I'm done at this point. The switch to silicon carbide, I think is done. I think it's superior to Abernet. Now you're gonna have to wet sand it, you know, but I do think it's a better sandpaper to use for this type of thing overall. And that's just all. Silicon carbide is just your wet dry. I would recommend, don't go to Harbor Freight and buy sandpaper. Get, you know, like 3M, Norton. You know, you can get decent stuff at like even just a Home Depot or wherever. Cling Spore is good. I'm using Mirka. Mirka's a really good one. I don't know, you know, anything that's somewhat name brandish is going to get you good results. The cheap stuff is junk, and it's just I don't recommend using cheap sandpaper. It just is not in your best interest. What ends up happening is like the abrasive or the adhesives they use for the particle sizes are not necessarily even like totally uniform. It just is, the reason it's cheap is because quality control is low and or materials. You know, it's low quality. So go get yourself a good piece of sandpaper, good brand, you know, and you're going to find that you're going to get better results. Oh, I got to slow that down. You don't need to sand at 3,000. But it's really working good. The 600, so I just find like I used to start sanding at 400 with Abernet, and I had to. I can totally get away with 600 now. Start there, and I think we can just jump to 1,000, and I think we're going to get excellent results. I have been getting excellent results with that. Those samples that I made, I did that. The only difference is we're going to go with magic juice instead of buffing. I find for those little sample things that I do, it's just faster for me to just go over to because I have my buffing wheel set up on my mini lathe, like all the time. I don't even ever take it down. And it's just easier to kind of plow through and not have to get, you know, do any like, what I don't want is like that, the liquidy stuff. That's a little bit more mess than just buffing for me. So that's why I do it that way. But you can definitely do 600, 1,000, and then triple E and white diamond, and you're good. You might want to finish up with, there's a couple options. You can go with either like the number 5 or 6 magic juice, or if you're not a magic juice user, if you use buffing wheels, you can just buy, and they don't actually have it like a label on it. Turner's Warehouse, oh, I guess I was pretty zoomed in, huh? Sorry. Turner's Warehouse sells something called Ring Bling. I just picked some of this up. And this is, I'm not going to use it for this because I'm going to go through the whole magic juice. But if you do, what I find is the white diamond wheel is not, it's not as good as magic juice for like the final polish. So I thought I'm going to pick up some of this ring bling because it's supposed to be like a super high gloss. So I think if you do buffing, if you do triple E, white diamond, and then this, I think that's probably a pretty good combination. So I'm going to try that out a little bit, but either way, if you have magic juice, you can probably just get away with going with like either 5 and 6 or just 6 after buffing wheels, if that's the way that you go. There's no reason to do both buffing and magic juice, 1 through 6. But if you just buff something and finish with white diamond, I think you're going to find that hitting it with a super high polish is going to give you a much glossier look than just white diamond alone. Let's see here. I'm looking at the, oh, that's not what I wanted. Kim's got a record power, nice. Which one do you have? Oh, Seawolf's got a question, let's see here. Got a question. Yeah, I don't know if I need a full knee, I don't know. That's why I need to talk to the doctor because there's different types of surgeries. I don't know that I need a full knee replacement. I might, I don't know. They might, I think what's happening is there's a piece of the meniscus, there's like a flap that is causing issues. And that's, there's meniscoscopy. I can't, meniscus, what do they call that? What would they call it? I don't know what the name of it. There's basically cut off part of the meniscus. And I was fairly opposed to that at first because what ends up happening is there's no coming back from that. Like it's gone. They just cut it away. It's not like they're like fixing it. And so the issue you run into is if you just have some issues where your knee swells or something, because that's what the problem I was having is like I would get like swelling, had some issues, but it wasn't like I couldn't walk, right? And in that case, like I don't really want you going in and cutting stuff out. I'm just going to strengthen, do physical therapy. What can a lot of times happen is they cut that stuff out and you end up just having more pain with arthritis issues down the road. But it's not better than just doing PT. But at this point, I'm having trouble walking. And it's only been, well, I mean, really, it's been a couple of weeks at this point, so I don't know. But I'm at this point I'm inclined to maybe go along with them doing a cut meniscus cutting operation if there's some percentage that I'm going to be better off. I don't know. I don't know. And I don't even think the doctors actually can tell me like, oh yeah, it's really going to help. So we'll have to kind of see what the doctor says on Friday. What was the question? A question for you? I don't see the question. I missed the question. Yeah, well, the problem is snowboarding, I've torn my meniscus snowboarding, I think a couple times. And I have a feeling that because I had an ACL replacement 20 years ago, and I think that I probably damaged the meniscus at that point, and for like the year after that, because I waited probably almost a year to get surgery, maybe 6 months, and I kept injuring it because I had no ACL at all. And so I don't know. I think that there's been a few things that kind of wore on that knee. I think I don't have particularly good knees in the first place, so I'm not sure what all exactly caused it. Yeah, I usually just go through all 6. It also kind of depends on, I think, how far up you sand to. Maybe. Like if you stop at like 600, I don't think that I would skip to number 2 on the Magic Juice. I don't know. I don't have any factual basis for making any of these recommendations, but I think if you're going to like 2000 grit, wet dry sandpaper or whatever, like wet sanding or some equivalent to that, somewhere pretty high, then I don't know that you really need to go to 1 necessarily. Start at step 1. But the opposite, if you're kind of stopping sanding fairly early, then you're probably not doing yourself any favors by skipping 1 or 2, whatever. Record DML. Oh, I don't know what that one is. That's cool. Inlaid in a desk. Well, I mean, it is true because that's what they quoted you. You could probably find someone else to do it for cheaper. But I don't know. I don't really know what the prices of doing that type of casting are. I don't do that kind of stuff. I do that kind of stuff, but I don't sell things like that, so I wouldn't even have a clue. I do know that kind of stuff can get pretty expensive. In some cases, depending on the circumstances, but I'm not sure. Oh, I see. Yeah. So most of the table's already there. Because I know like some of the river tables, like the problem is you're talking about buying like this huge slab of super expensive burl, and then you got a bunch of resin going in the middle of it, and then legs and stuff, and so some of those river tables can get pretty, many thousands. But if you're kind of just talking about a little bit more simple stuff, I don't know, it might be a little cheaper. But you got to admit, I mean, I don't know, 2000, depending on how much work, that's not like unreasonable sounding to me. Oh yeah, well, it's tough. Yeah, I've heard some people have surgery and it doesn't really work out so well, but the thing is, effectively right now, if nothing changes, I may as well just sit in a wheelchair because I can't even barely walk. I definitely can't walk normal. But that's one of the questions. I don't know if this is going to be where I'm at forever right now, then they can cut my knee out and put a new one in there. Because I'm not gonna live like this because I got too many things that I want to do, and I'd like to just walk normal without a limp. What, send to 800? Yeah. 10 gallons of resin. Whew. Yeah. I know that's the problem is, just the material costs, depending on how this project is going to be, is steep. It's quite a lot. And so, you have to understand how many gallons of resin are you going to need for this project? How much were the, any other materials you might need? Because you could easily drop $1,000 on resin. I mean, that's not that hard for depending. And it ain't cheap. And you got to pay the person for their time and skill. So, I don't know. Let's see here. Did I do the lengthwise? I don't know. I think I did the lengthwise. I was talking and thinking about tables. Light pressure, I'm not pushing hard while I'm, doing the sanding. I think that some people can kind of overdo it with the pressure, and you just generally don't need that. If you need to press so hard, like press really hard to get like tool marks and stuff out, then I think you need to go back to the tool and smooth it out. I think that's going to get you better results than trying to just sand forever and having to push harder. Try to get that surface as smooth as possible, and then you don't have to do as much sanding. All right, so we're gonna go with I'm gonna wipe my hands off here. I'm gonna go with our magic juice. step 1 through 6. And I don't know. I'm not going to skip. I'm going to go with 1. If anything, I would probably get rid of 2 because I just can't stand it. That stuff like cakes up on me. You guys all know. I could pretty much do without doing number 2. Magic juice step. But, so we're just going to go 1 through 6, see what happens. And I like to use these, the blue towels. Let me zoomed out properly. And I just rip them into these little strips. You don't need much. That's actually, you know, I mentioned that for those samples, I use the buffing wheels rather than magic juice. And this is another reason, like I don't really want to have to sit here and rip off a bunch of these things. And the process takes a little bit longer for something that I don't care if it has any scratches or, you know, like it doesn't matter how it looks. So the buffing wheels are just an easier, quicker thing in that case. But I really like magic juice for kit pens especially. I think that I haven't found anything that works any better. So here we go. Step 1. And you can get this stuff at Turner's Warehouse. It's made by Stadium Pen Blanks. So I'm going to get this thing rolling. I find, I don't know, their instructions kind of recommend that you're running the lathe at like 2,000. I don't really think that that's necessary. I usually run it around 12 to 1,500. I like to kind of wipe it in. And then once again, I'm not like, this isn't a friction polish. I'm just letting the grit, the polish stuff do its job and just kind of moving back and forth without pushing significantly on it. But the crazy thing is, just after number 1, step 1, literally I have seen pens that people are selling in a store that look worse, that have a worse finish, less gloss than just step 1 with this stuff. I mean, that's good enough. I could literally stop there and be done. Like, that's a little bit more like a semi-gloss maybe, but it looks fine. It's great. You know? Let's see, what did I miss here? Oh, you're asking. So I don't know. I'm just starting at 1. You know, I that is something that I have not played around with. Yeah, it'd be interesting because if you could skip 1 and 2, like if you wet sand to 1,000, you could skip. If this is a big if, I don't know the answer to this, but I hate number 2. I just don't like. It is always sticky for some reason. I don't know. I don't understand what the deal is with that one. I have no problems with the other 5. 5. But this one tends to like wrap up the paper, and like frankly, I'd rather just not use it. But I don't know. See, the thing is, I don't know what grit levels or anything like that any of this stuff is. I've never actually talked to Michael about it. Michael Harding. So, and I don't know that he's going to tell me. You know, like. That's kind of part of the deal. That went pretty good. That one wasn't so bad. So that's the thing, is like I don't exactly know where any of this stuff fits in and what the grit levels are, so I just use it as it is. Like 1 through, there's nothing's going to happen if you start, you know, at 1. If you go to 1,000, start at 1, even if 1 is a lower grit technically than 1,000. Nothing's going to happen. You're just doing more work than you need to. So you might try, you know, like Kevin sands to 800. You might try that. Did you say you start at 2? All right. He kind of skips around. 2, 4, 6. Where'd it go? I lost. Skip. Let's see here. 2, 4, 6. Yeah. So you might try that. Try that out. All right, so number 3. I'm a little bit bummed because a couple of years ago, the last SoCal kind of Turner's Expo thing, Michael was there, and I actually really wanted to see him and talk to him a little bit about and really see how he applies this stuff, because he came out with it. I mean, he should be the smartest guy to talk to about it, with the best information, especially since he knows exactly what it is, right? So I wanted to talk to him. Well, his lathe and everything didn't get shipped out, like it didn't make it to the event. So there was really, I could have talked to him about it a little bit, but I really wanted to see him do it. So next time I'm at an event that he's at and he's got his lathe, I want to kind of talk to him a little bit. Like I said, I don't think he's going to be telling me like what grit or, product or, like any of that stuff, which I probably don't even need to know it, but I would like to get some tips straight from the horse's mouth, All right, Kevin, have a good one. I'm not sure passing on what you taught me. Did I miss something? Oh. All right, so we did foresight. I'm trying to read the comments and catch up with everybody. Tony skips too. Yeah, and that's the thing, like the more you kind of play around with these things, like it's good if you're getting good results. Sometimes it's counterproductive, to mess around, especially with something kind of that you're not necessarily, unless you're doing a ton of pens. I don't know that you're going to be saving significant amounts of time by skipping like 1 or 2 steps with magic juice. You got to kind of look at like, if it's working, if it ain't broke, don't fix it kind of mentality. But if you got the time and want to kind of play around with it, that's the thing. If you've got that time, then try things out and do different stuff. I've been doing this for many years, turning pens and stuff, and I still am like, well, let me try silicon carbide. I've been using Abernet forever, but whatever. Let me give it another shot. And what ends up happening is sometimes like the supplies or the tools or the whatever you use, even though you used it once before and it whatever, you didn't really necessarily see any different results. Sometimes your skills change, or the way that you do things, other things might change. Because I think I used to, in the past, be pretty heavy-handed. I pressed much harder with sandpaper. And I think that's a difference too, Who knows? I may be getting the blanks, my turning. I'm getting the blank itself smoother. And so the sanding is better, because if you got a bunch of bumps and stuff, and the more sanding you do, the more opportunity to screw it up you have. I always say so. Who knows? Sometimes it's good to try things, but again, if you're getting good results and you're happy with it, a lot of times I'm like, well, is it really worth messing around with? Woo, man, that is looking good. This is why I love these Abalone blanks. All right, so let's zoom in here. Look at that. What do you guys think? Really? It's just blinging around. Woo. I'm happy. Again, overall, this isn't much different than my standard Abalone blank. The only difference that I made in this is that I used interference violet versus interference red, which when you look at the two, they're not significantly different. This is just a little bit more in the purple edge, the violet side of things, compared to like red is a little bit more reddish or pink looking almost. But man, that looks pretty good. I'm happy with that. 1,000 grit, 600 and 1,000, and then magic juice. Bare minimum, I would say that you can probably get away with that. Now, one thing that you can do now, and I had conversations with a couple people actually at Turner's Warehouse about sanding and magnifying glasses and like really putting things under a microscope. And here's my deal. This is what I said, because I used to be like super anal about this, and I would be like raking light coming in, and I'd have like, magnifying glasses. Here's the deal. Nobody else on the planet is going to be doing that. And what I would recommend is magnifying glasses and looking at stuff like that crazy. That is good to see what is actually happening, right? So, I just tried 600 and 1,000. Not a bad idea to actually get out something, maybe get a raking light, maybe get a magnifying kind of glass or like the headband, and get in there and look at, okay, what does it look like at 600? What is the surface really looking like close up? And then, do your whole 600 grit, look at it afterwards, then sand it with like 1,000 and then look at it, right? And maybe, each step or whatever, but do that like once or twice. And then maybe if you're comparing a couple different things, that might be a useful thing, but don't pull out magnifying lenses on every single pen, because nobody on the planet is doing that. Or many people probably are, but they really shouldn't be, because the test is, can you hold it up and look at it with your eyes and it looks good under maybe, the one thing that I would say is maybe under different lighting conditions, shop lights, your fluorescence versus like maybe outdoors, or incandescent lights at home, LED, that might be something. But as long as it looks good, don't over stress about, every little minor scratch that could possibly maybe be in there somewhere. But I don't see any. And you can usually just use normal lighting without magnifying glasses or any of that kind of stuff, and just get that where you can really kind of see like a reflection almost in it. And it should be kind of glassy looking. If it's not, then it's not polished enough. There's scratches in there somewhere. You'll have to kind of look at that a little bit more. But you should be able to get like a light band. I'm holding it under, I have a Laguna, light over my lathe, and I can get it to the point, let's see, you guys can even see it. See how there's like a light band through there? If you get it to the point where there's a light band across the blank, and then turn it, like it should show flaws. You don't need to pull out magnifying glasses or anything like that. And in most cases, like, again, fretting over like minor details, a scratch or two, sometimes that, again, productive, counterproductive. Where's the pen going? We all want the best thing. We all want to make the best thing possible that that our skill level can make, but there's diminishing returns at some point, and most end users are not going to care about, pulling out magnifying glasses. All right, so we'll set that aside. Man, I'm digging that. That's really looking good. I haven't turned an Abalone blank for quite a while, in like a regular kit pen. Chad was showing, I actually made an Abalone, one of my Abalone blanks, into a kitless pen, and I actually gave that to Chad when I went down there. That was definitely the first pen that I was like, yeah, I will actually give this to somebody. The first kitless that I made, where I was like, yeah, that's good enough to give away at least. It's not the best pen I've ever made or could make, but everything before that, I was like, oh, yeah, I wouldn't even give this away. I do keep them though. I have all my pens I have like a pen case, and I think it's interesting because you can kind of go back and look at the quality differences, or, here's the first one or two that I made. I'm pretty sure the first one I made, that might be like in the trash. But, going through and kind of seeing the progression is really nice, to kind of see where you were and where you're going. All right, so I'm going to move all my Magic Juice bottles. I really need to 3D print another. I have the 1 ounce kit, but half of them are kind of empty and stuff at this point. And they made me this. Michael made this for me. I need to 3D print one for the 2 ounce bottles, because I don't really want to pay for that. I got a 3D printer, I can do it. Okay, so here's the second half. Yeah, the violet's looking good. Yeah, I would say that gloss is pretty typical. The thing is, though, matte or, like the satin finish is becoming more popular, and it depends on the blank. I think this one would actually look okay. Some blanks really don't look good in a matte finish, some resins and stuff, but many of them do look good. One, for instance, my hot rod blank, this is the first one that I made in a, oh man, I think I got a mouse in my stupid shop. I don't know what the heck it thinks it's gonna find on my desk, but there are some little things that are sitting there that look like mouse poops. Okay, so this is my hot rod blank in matte, or whatever you want to call it, satin finish. And the thing is, it feels different than a gloss. It's very silky smooth. And I do like, it just depends. Some blanks look great. Some people like matte finishes more. And I think that it is something that's gaining popularity where, in the past, it was like everybody expected, it needed to be glossy. Just that's what you did with, the resin blanks. But it doesn't have to be. Matte is a good, or I don't know if that's matte. I would actually call it, I think, satin. It looks good. Oh, you got the STL, nice. Sweet, yeah, definitely. Yeah, PowerShell. I only keep pens when, yeah, pretty much. Cooper tends to get most of them. Okay, so we're all ready here. Let me get my tool out. Screw the lathe up, and we'll finish the back half. I'm just going to leave my gloves on. I don't find this to be dangerous in any way because really it'll rip before anything happens. But you do not want to be wearing like fabric or leather gloves or things where it really isn't going to just rip off if something got caught. I'm just being cheap and don't want to go get another pair of gloves. I like to put gloves on when I'm wet sanding. It just, the water ends up drying my hands out a lot. So that's why I do that. So for satin finish, what I just sand up to 2000 grit and I'm done. So, and here's the other thing. Like I said, there's a significant amount of people that actually like that. They prefer that look. Maybe not on every single pen they buy or whatever, but there's a lot of people, like people that are selling, especially, I just know in like the custom fountain pen world, there's quite a few people making the satin finish on things. So they obviously must have buyers. I don't have personal, first-hand experience with pen buyers because I don't really sell a lot of pens or anything like that. But I just see that there's a lot of people that's their deal. and they're making those things. And the one thing I have had experience with firsthand is I've shown a lot of people that pen, and they're like, oh, like I said, it's just different. It just typically you do see gloss, but it doesn't have to be. Yeah, well, yeah, it's very heavily a touch thing. They feel different than a gloss pen. And for, like I said, for pen makers, I mean, you're just doing less work, technically. I wouldn't tell your buyer that, but, you know, you are cutting out a lot of, you know, all of the polishing steps. In fact, what I would do is I'd mark it up and be like, oh, do you even know how hard it is to get a satin finish? Because it's a little bit less, you know, common. Oh man, that'll be like $10 extra for the satin finish. Yeah, you're not late. Perfect timing. Welcome to the stream. All right, let's see what this thing's doing here. A little bit of a lip on this side. That needs a little bit of work. Just a little bit on that side too. Okay, I think that's probably pretty good. I'm gonna stop it and take a look at those ends just to make sure everything is even and everything. Might even pull out the readers just so I can see. Not bad, not bad. I think I'm gonna give it one little quick smoothing. The surface there's a few little kind of bumpy things. Just clean that up real quick. I'm just going to take like a pass. Smooth everything up. And then we're going to wet sand so I can turn the dust collector off, so that's good. That's the other thing is you don't have to, if you wet sand the whole way through, then you don't have to mess around with dust collection. Keeps the dust down in your shop. One of the reasons the way I used to sand was I would dry sand with 400, and one of the things was I would constantly be looking at the finish, the surface, and it's much easier just to blow it off than, dry, than sit there and have to dry it off. But I'm finding that I don't even need to mess around with anything. Like 600 just does a better job, so I feel more confident. I don't have to stop and look at it all the time. So I don't know. I don't really need this 50. And I still like the Zona paper, but this system pretty much kind of negates it. I still, there's a lot of things that I would use Zona paper for, but for these pens, I don't know. I mean, it's kind of, I don't know. I think another way you could maybe go, but I find that I get better results with this silicon carbide paper over Zona, but technically they're very similar, the starting range. I'm starting at 600, which I think might be a little crucial, depending on, if you could get this as smooth as possible, then I think you could just use Zona paper and get the same kind of results. But I'm just finding that, I don't know, this stuff is more aggressive, the silicon carbide, so I can get away with a little bit more, I think, because it's not like my surface is perfect. Off the tool. It's very good, I would say, it's pretty good, but it is not like it's perfect. This isn't like, perfect skew, skew chisel, final cut kind of thing. And the 600 has enough, I don't know, grit or whatever to really get most of the tool marks and stuff out. It's really, it's odd. I don't know. Abernet works okay too. I never really had a problem with it. It worked pretty good, but I'm finding that I'm getting better, quicker results with the silicon carbide. So what are you up to in your shop this weekend, Mark? Got anything brewing? Okay, I think that might be good. Now, if you do want to check your progression, I think, with your sanding, I think that probably the most important step is the first. Your first grit is probably the most important thing to check and make sure that you've gotten everything good, because if you got big gouge kind of things and tool marks, that's a lot different, and that is definitely going to show up in the final thing, compared to just you didn't sand out the previous grit scratches as much. That's a little less important, I think, or likely. I really think that first step is really the one that you really need to pay attention to. So I would wipe it off, and then try to inspect it as much as you want. And that's good, like I said, to get a foundation, but you shouldn't have to do that every time. We were talking about the magnifying glasses and stuff like that. I think that's overkill. And there's ways to not have to pull out special equipment to just tell, okay, this thing it's in the range. It's looking pretty good. But, doing a few experiments and trying to understand, like, how is this, what does this look like? What should I expect when this is, perfect? That's a good exercise, but I don't think you need to do that on every single thing in most cases. Now, if you're selling $1,000 pens, maybe, but. Oh, laser cut holder. Okay, cool. Casting like a madman. That's what I like to hear. Yeah, I got a little bit of casting to do. I got to the shop late today. Forgot my lunch. That was smart. So I had to go back. Okay. And I do think that it is crucial to do the cross, you know, have it with the lathe running, doing the radial scratch pattern, and then do the lengthwise or whatever, this way, cross grain. I don't know. With the grain. I don't know how you call this. Side to side. Very light, like I said. And you don't have to, like, it's not a huge deal. It's just, I just think that really does something. So if you're not doing that, give it a shot and tell me how it works out for you, because I do think that it improves the final surface quality when you're trying to polish something up. It helps to get rid of those scratch patterns. So I'm going to go and get another set of blue towels so that we can apply our magic juice. Let's see, I just saw, who was that? Somebody just got a 3D printer and was messing with that, a resin 3D printer. Not sure. Oh, it was Jerry, that's right. He doesn't usually come to the live streams, but he's a good guy. That's interesting, seeing people getting into that, trying something new. Brian's here, what's up? Oh man, you're late. That's cool. No big deal. Kim's baking a lemon drizzle cake. Oh man, now you're just making me hungry. I see how you're doing it. After the stream, it is lunchtime. Okay, so I gotta go get all my magic juices. Hold on. So I suppose let's do an experiment real quick here. I don't know if it's going to be particularly enlightening, but let's try starting at step 3 and just see what the surface looks like. I can always go back and start at 1 and go through everything again. But let's just start at step 3. So I sanded to 1000 grit. Let's try step 3 as our starting point and just see what that gets us, you know. I don't know. It's kind of looking pretty glossy right now. But this would be a case where this is where you would want to pull out like a magnifying glass or something, you know, like lenses to really, you know, see what does the scratch pattern look like if I start at 1 versus 2 versus 3, you know. So I'm actually, I don't have a reference because I don't usually pull out magnifying glasses or anything like that, but I'm gonna pull out, I have like one of those, you know, magnifying whatever headset things, goggles. I don't know what these are called. This kind of thing. I'm gonna look at it under that a little bit. I don't really want to just remove it and do all that. I just want to see. Yeah, I don't know. I think that's too much of a jump. I think that's too much of a jump. I wouldn't really want to do that. Because I can still, the thing is, I can still see those 1000 grit scratches running lengthwise, which means that number 3 didn't take those out. So I don't think you can start at 3. Let's try 2. See what that looks like. This is the one that's kind of grabby. Gotta be ready for it. Like I said, I have no reference because I've never actually pulled out magnifying lenses to see what step 1 looks like after 1,000 grit or anything like that, but I didn't really love what I saw there. And that can be kind of the problem, right? Like, that's why I say, like, I don't know if it's really worth doing all this magnifying stuff, because if it looks good to your eyes and it's nice and glossy, then why do we need to pull out these magnifying lenses? That's looking better. I'm having a harder time seeing scratch patterns. I don't know. I still think you're just better off going 1 through 6 on this stuff because I know it works, and it's really not that much more time. It looks better, but it's also it's less glossy, which means that I'm having a harder time seeing the scratches actually in there. So I don't know. I'm going to go back to 1 because I know that method works. I was very happy with that first one, you know. We were kind of doing an experiment just to see, and I had a pretty good feeling it was going to be fine. Going 600, 1,000, and then magic juice. But I think, you know, I would try doing, you know, checking it out on your own, see what happens. But I don't know. You're always safe just going 1 through 6. That's probably going to be your safest bet to get the best surface finish. I'm going to look at this under the microscope. Not microscope, the whatever, the glasses. And I'm going to see what that looks like. Yeah. Yeah, I don't think I'm seeing any of the lengthwise, the 1,000 grit scratches. So I don't know. My advice, just go 1 through 6. You're probably buying it in a pack of 1 through 6 anyway. And we're talking like, you know, 1 minute of your time difference. Not sure what I heard cake. Yeah. Oh, cutting the yard. Cake for tomorrow. Yeah, you could use like an eye loop. I don't have one of those. I've just got one of those things. So now we're going to go back up. We did 1. Here's the thing. Here's the other issue with this is I would probably, again, it depends on how you're doing things. If you're going to stop and pull out magnifying lenses on every single pen, on every grit for some reason, I don't know, then maybe you can kind of skip around and do stuff just to make sure. But if you're just going to kind of do it like normal, you know, like I'm doing, I kind of like doing it from 1 through all the way up and probably not even skipping, because starting at 1, if for some reason you had some 600 grit scratches in there, like your 1,000 didn't get everything out, you got one more step in which that may affect the 600 or help get those out even. So I don't know. I think most people are probably just better off going 1 through 6 and, you know, having a good day. I'm going to try and remember what it'll be kind of hard, but try and remember what 2 looked like last time. Kind of, yeah, it seems like it's, I don't know. These are tough things. It's hard to be objective looking at gloss on a pen. That feels better. I don't know. It may just be because I just explained why I think it's a better way to go 1 through 6, but I don't know. And this is why, you know, the thing is, it's going to be up to you and what you think in the end. each person, right? Because that's why there's 50,000 different ways to do all these things, because some people just prefer the look of this, or it works better for them, or certain ways that we do things tend to work better. Otherwise, everybody would be using magic juice or a buffing wheel or micro mesh, but there's a bunch of different ways to do it, and you just got to use the one that looks best to your eyes every time you do it. The most consistent and best results. Okay, we got number 3 done. Let's move on to number 4. Oh, nice. I have a perfect amount of strips left. Is this better than a CA finish? It's different. CA is going to actually provide protection. So if you're doing something that has things like pine cones or even like wood, certain things need to actually have a protection and a shell. All I'm doing is this resin or this blank is plastic basically, and all I'm doing is just each one of these steps is just higher and higher abrasive. So we're just polishing that surface. But pine cones, a coffee bean blank, things like that, choya. It's better to protect it completely, and the CA finish is actually going to put a cover, basically like a finish top coat on it. So, you just don't need to do that on something like this. So I think you're just kind of wasting your time doing a CA finish. You don't need to do that. The other reason I would do a CA finish, even if your wood is stabilized, if you had a hybrid blank, even if you had material that was stabilized and didn't really need protection of any kind from moisture or anything like that, the problem is the resin and the wood are different like hardnesses, and you just really can't polish wood. So your resin's going to be super glossy next to this kind of halfway, sort of, not very glossy kind of surface of the stabilized wood. And so if you put a CA finish over top the whole blank, then you're going to have an even actual sheen, because the sheen part, the polished part, is actually that finish. So a couple different reasons why you would want to go with a CA finish, but if your blank is just completely resin, then I would not recommend it. It's just not really necessary. Because you're going to be doing the same steps to the, whether you're just adding steps of putting a finish on, and then you're going to do this anyway. Now, as we've kind of talked about, how abrasive, quote unquote, are these blue towels. And I don't know, I tried to find some different materials to apply, especially like the number 5 and 6 magic juice, and I just don't know that it matters. I don't know. I don't think you're going to see a huge difference. And I never really found a product that was really superior, like super awesome. That's like a non-scratch. You could use microfiber, like I guess that would be the thing, but those don't rip. So you'd have to really make short strips and be very careful that it doesn't get wrapped up on the, get kind of catch and wrap up. That would be a way to go, but I don't know that it's totally necessary. Now, but the difference between the blue towels and the Bounty normal paper towels, that's a difference. These work way better. They're much less abrasive than like a Bounty paper towel. Whew, it's looking glossy. You can already tell just while it's turning. All right, so let's get you guys in. Let's take a peek at this thing and see what we got. Still running. Oh yeah. The blue and the violet, there's a lot of blue and violet on this backside. It's really neat looking. Got a little bit of green. That is looking pretty nice. really popping up at the top where those black streaks are. I'm digging it. I don't know. I'm digging it. Like I said, the violet, I knew that the violet was going to look good. I've seen other people, make abalone blanks using this. So it wasn't a matter of like, oh, how does it look? I knew it was going to be probably pretty similar to my the red that I use. But I'm definitely happy with it. It looks great. I just love these abalone blanks. One of my faves. But like I said, the mermaid blanks, those are taking the top spot lately. I'm looking forward to adding those to the inventory, getting some kit list size. So when we sell out of the ones that I got in stock, we will make some more. Yeah, come on. Yeah, that looks great. So, I don't know. Now, I didn't go all the way up through all the grits, starting at 3. But, I could see 1,000 grit scratches in there. So I don't really think that that's a good way. I don't think that's a good jump. 2 was debatable. You maybe could jump to 2, but, okay. So we're skipping 1 step. Like, what's the point? I don't know. Personally, I don't think I'm skipping. I think that you're going to get good results going 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Now, if you went up to like 2,000 grit sanding, so you'd probably want to add in like 1,500 then 2,000. That's kind of a different story at that point, I'd say. I don't know what grit levels or whatever any of these magic juice numbers are. I don't know where they would kind of fall. I would imagine you can probably skip to 3 at that point and probably have pretty decent results. I don't know. That's just a guess. Or like, maybe 1,500 or something. Like, I don't know though. You'd have to kind of really experiment around. And is it really worth wet sanding more? Not for me. Like, it'd be nice if I could just stop at 600. That'd be great, but I have no confidence that step 1 is really going to get all of those scratches out, like 600 grit scratches. I just don't think, because I've kind of tried doing things like that and doesn't typically work very well. So, but not a bad kind of, I don't know, whatever, compromise. Really, 600, 1,000 is actually skipping what I used to do. That's shortening the process for me anyway. Oh, that's the wrong camera. I don't know what, I don't know what what your process is. It may be different, but I feel like 600, 1,000 is pretty quick, and then just hitting up the magic juice. So many different ways to do these things, I'm telling you guys. All right, so we got a cigar pen kit here. I gotta take all the pieces out here. I don't need the tubes because I use those. You guys, most of you guys probably know, if anybody's kind of new, I tend to do Sierras, cigars, and Juniors pretty much most of the time. And it's because I can get they're powder coated tubes for all 3 of those. And it just makes things easier. Because to be honest, I was actually going to make a hobby knife out of this blank. I bought some of the kits. I don't know if you guys saw that, but Turner's Warehouse has the like X-Acto knife kits. And I saw they posted something. And I was like, oh, I totally want to get one of those. So I picked up a couple when I was down there. But the problem is I got to paint the tube, and I didn't have enough time. I didn't get back. I needed to paint the tube on Thursday so that I could glue it in on Friday. And, so I'm like, okay, I guess we're doing this. So I love being able to get powder coated tubes because timing just works great. All right, so we're going to put this guy in here. Are you guys seeing what's happening? We can zoom in a little bit here. Try and get things here. I just like to put a little paper towel down so I haven't been well, I did cast yesterday, but there shouldn't be any resin or anything like that on this mat, but I don't know, there might be uncured resin on it, like dripped part A or something like that. Is this the right? No, that's not. I am totally, almost totally messed that up, guys. I had my parts backwards. Whew. That goes there. That goes. This is why I lay these stupid things out every time. I was looking at it like, that doesn't look like it's the right size. Okay. This time I'm going to try and do it right. A little bit tight today. Might have had a little bit of glue in there, but we got it in. I'm going to go for this one now. Oh, what the heck just happened? It's not I had it tightened all the way, locked in. There we go. And the beauty of cigar kits is, well, I messed it up. I actually put the pieces in. I kind of had it set up correctly, but if you're trying to line things up, the beauty of the cigar kits is you can take them apart by hand and put them together. That's just the way they go. So in this case, like I did mark, where these things line up. It doesn't really matter in this case. It's not important because I can actually, without having to like disassemble the entire pen, I can just take it apart and put it back together and find which, how do I like this thing? What looks the best? Before even after I put it together. So that's another reason why I really like the cigar kits. They're, to me, they look, I don't know, as nice, let's say, quote unquote nice, classy as, is that supposed to be like that? Guess so. I feel like this thing isn't working the same. Okay. They look classy, like a junior, but you got the ballpoint, or it's not a roller ball; it's a ballpoint ink. So if you like those, it's still a classy looking pen. All right, so I'm gonna look at this thing. I'm pretty sure this is how it went. There was this kind of trail of black, and you got the green next to it. However, I just want to kind of rotate this and see what I think. Kind of, oh man, I mean, every direction that you turn this thing, it's got a really, so let's just get rid of the back. Like, let me just turn this thing. There's that's interesting. I really like those color combinations. That's really interesting. Like, which one do I want on the front? This is the tough part about making pens, is like, how do I orient some of these things? I kind of think that, pretty sure that was how it was supposed to be. I really like this side of things, I think. I think I'm going to go like this. Okay. And I'm going to put the clip down the front like this. I don't know. I mean, it would look great any way that you do it. Yeah, I really just think that this swoop, and I might even put that, yeah, I think like that. So I'm going to put this, I'm going to lock this guy in. I think that looks pretty awesome. And then we're going to kind of line up those black swoops when we put it together. So you just drop this. Let's see, does this thing have a little ball? Yeah. Get rid of the little ink saver thing. And then screw that in, and then just make sure our ink is working correctly. Looks good. And then I'm going to line up these, this kind of, where'd it go? There it is. I'm going to line up this little swoosh. Yeah. Am I under the camera? Let's see. Sorry. So anyway, this way. What I was trying to do was like line up that little kind of black swirl. It looks, I think that's how it was supposed to go. I just kind of like the colors that are kind of on the front there. Not bad at all. There we go. So I'm gonna go grab a link to my normal abalone. Like I said, they'll be slightly different, and I'll show you guys on camera. Like interference violet versus red is really just not that much different. This is definitely more violet, and I'm gonna show you the lid because I think that's probably the best way to, I don't know. It's easier on this one. So that's the interference red. I don't know if that's really coming through on camera, but it's definitely like more reddish, pinkish. If you can look on the edges of this one a little bit more, it's just a little bit more in like the purple range. So very similar though. That's the point. Like you can really go with either of them. But I have my normal abalone blanks on my website, so I'll go grab a link to those guys for you if anybody's interested. Oops, I went the wrong way. Just to let you know, all of my kit lists and all that kind of stuff, I need to change the names of these, but it takes a little bit of doing on the website stuff. I want to change everything to artisan, but currently all the kit lists, whatever the abalone blanks, like the resin just color swirls that are not team colors, those are listed under the special editions label, which is not particularly helpful if you're trying to find blanks. But just to let everybody know, if you're having a little issue on my site trying to find stuff, you can always just type in, if you're looking for something specific, you can type in the name of it and it'll pull up on the search. But all of those, with and the mermaid ones are there too. So there's that to the abalone. And again, we got let's see, it's this version of the mermaid tail. I am going to eventually, the camera's not working with me here. I will be adding a little bit more green to the final mixture. But these guys, I got 4 more left. There's 2 of them are gone. I don't know, unless somebody ordered some since we started the stream. There's 4 more of this specific mix, and then I'm going to make some more today that have just a tad bit more of that green color in it, like this. Just a little bit more. This one had a little too much. This one's, this is actually perfect, but I think that a little bit more green won't hurt anything. So it'll be just slightly different than that on the final versions, and eventually I'll have some kit lists also. These, all I have is 4 of the 5.5-inch standard versions right now. So once they sell out, we'll restock and it'll be great. So let's see here. Let's go back to the chat, see what you guys are saying here. See what is going on. Okay. Yeah, I get the blue towels at Costco too. You can even order them online at Costco if you have a membership, but you can also get them on like Amazon and places like that too. Sizzle, sizzle, nice. Yeah, not too bad. Yeah, it is. I kind of like it's definitely more in the purple range. The interference red is a little, do I have anything? I'm trying to think if I have any of my anything turned and polished of my normal abalone. Actually, I might have the sample. Oh, here we go. Yeah, I got a couple samples here. We can kind of look at the difference. This one's, Find a good sample. Okay, here we go. Yeah, definitely more pinkish than purplish. And I just kind of based, you know, I pulled up a picture of like kind of an abalone, you know, things, you know, like a piece of abalone, and this mix fit that for me, for my eyes, a little bit better. This is a little bit, I don't know that you have as much purple in like real actual abalone, you know, and obviously, you know, we're just kind of approximating the kind of look, you know, but that's why I just went with the red, because it just kind of, it worked fine. But yeah, so this is the stuff that's on my website. Not too shabby. Cool. You dropped a drill on your foot. Oh no. Oh yeah, Amy said that. Oh. That's not fun. Oh, we might have to do that sometime. Oh yeah, you can turn the clip too. Blue envelopes in a box, you bet. You betcha. I got it. So anyway, it was pretty fun doing this one. Like I said, I really, I'm glad that I was able to take this, take one of them. Now, Turner's Warehouse I'm pretty sure will be selling, well, actually, no, I'm sorry. Turner's Warehouse, I think, is going to be doing a giveaway for the rest of the demo blanks. I don't know exactly when, how, or what is going on with that, but we kind of talked about it, and I think that they're going to be doing a giveaway for the rest of those, you know, the batch. So there should be 6 of them, unless, you know, Chad keeps one and turns one or whatever. So I think there should be a few left. I'm not sure. I kind of doubt they're going to just like do a giveaway for all 6. That seems not likely. So just keep your eyes peeled, and if I find out anything about the giveaway for those blanks, I'll let you guys know, because they look pretty good. They're not too bad, you know. Yeah, the purple's good. It's I like it too. Like I said, I like my original one. I think better. I'm gonna say, just because that was the original. As far as I know, and I don't want to be like, oh, I did this first, but I never saw abalone before I did this, and so that's another reason why I'm like, it's the original, you know. So it's got a little soft spot in my heart a little bit, but I haven't seen. Here's the thing: I haven't seen an abalone blank. I'm just putting these things in a bag so I don't lose these things. I like to make sure I know what tubes I'm doing, but I haven't seen anybody's abalone blanks that look terrible. They all, because it's just interference powders typically, and they all work pretty well. And some people do, like I think Jonathan Brooks, I'm pretty sure he just does some that have like one color, or I don't know, he names them just a single color, and even those look good. It's just an interesting mix of, you know, like interference red or whatever, and black. And other people do them slightly differently. You can adjust how much powder you're actually putting in each cup, you know, and that will change just slightly. I will say that I think there is a difference between, typically I use the Perlex interference powder, and it looks a little bit different than the Eye Candy Ghost. I don't know. In the end, it just like it looks different in the jar. The Eye Candy version is a little bit easier to mix in. It's a little less clumpy than the Perlex, but I do think that the Perlex might have a little bit more of like a pearl, like a white to it. I don't know. It just seems just ever so slightly different than the Perlex version. So different interference powder brands might be a little bit different. They may be just using slightly different size particles that can really change a mica powder. But either way, just the beauty of it is you can't screw it up. Also, like they are impossible to really screw up. I guess maybe if you just put way too much black in there or something like that, it would just kind of overtake stuff. But they're really hard to mess up. So, give them a shot. Try them out. It's pretty cool. So anyway, guys, I hope you enjoyed this one. Is there anything else going on? So I'm not sure what we're doing next week offhand. Otherwise, I would tell you. I do have plans. I have some really cool things that are in the works. I just need to get things. I need to get to a certain point with them before I can share. I don't have things ready, basically. So I don't know. We'll see what happens next week. Should be back on schedule for doing some casting, though. And it should be pretty cool. So anyway, thanks for joining the fun today. I will get this guy in one of those blue bubbles and in a box for Mr. Kid Cooper. And I think that's about it. So happy Easter, everybody. Again, if you missed the demos from Turner's Warehouse, so last Saturday, we did the live streaming well, they did live streams on their channel. If you missed them, they are really good. I did a beginner, like a resin casting 101, and then demoed pouring these blanks. So you can check that out if you really want to. Most of you guys probably know most of the beginner stuff and have seen me pour. But if you want to see the abalone blanks, I think that's the only time I've ever actually demoed making abalone blanks. And then Chad did a stabilizing 101 that should be pretty good. And then Jim over at Cocoon Blanks did segmenting resin. He was making a herringbone blank, and that was really awesome. So make sure to go check those guys out, those replays. And other than that, have a great rest of the afternoon or evening or morning, wherever you're at. And we'll see you guys on the next